Hello, everybody. My name is Memo, and welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am, of course, one of your hosts, and today I've got Hoops right beside me. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. For the most part, same old as general. How you been doing, Memo?
Good. I've been enjoying this extra long weekend. I was able to get 4 days off of work. I guess if you include the weekends. Uh, Weekend. So that was nice. Uh, you know, because of President's Day weekend. Uh, I got the time off, so that's been nice. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite, as I told you. We watched the All Star game together today at B Dubs, which was really cool, really nice. Uh, but other than that, same old, same old. You're still good, I guess. Just doing the same old thing.
Yeah, same old thing. Works just work. For the most part, just getting through life at the moment.
I feel you. I feel you. So today in this episode, we are doing a rundown on the All Star weekend. Of obviously, the All Star festivities happened this weekend. We had a lot of events like the celebrity game, Rising Stars, contest, the dunk contest, and of course the All Star game. And we're gonna touch up on basically every event, going over what we liked, what we didn't like, some winners, some losers, and if we have time, we might play some games. So stay tuned. But yeah, overall, when it comes to All Star season, how do you feel about it? I feel like we both have maybe different feelings on it. So what are your thoughts going into every All Star weekend?
Yeah. Usually going into the All Star weekend, the main thing that I look into really is the festivities on Saturday. Um, Generally speaking, the dunk contest is the ones that should be the most exciting one. Recent years, it hasn't really been the same as before. I think that the 3 point contest pretty much is, for the most part, pretty consistent. It usually doesn't disappoint because it's just NBA players um, showing out how good of a 3 point range they have and that they're able to shoot lights out from a far distance. And then skills challenge, also pretty cool, seeing the players show off their handles, passing skills, and shooting, you name it. And then the Rising Stars Challenge, seeing the rookies and sophomores showcase their talented abilities to let the league know that they're on the come up for years to come. And then, of course, the All Star Game, which throughout the years, it's also been a little bit up and down because, like, a lot of the times the players don't really try the hardest. But overall, it's pretty cool to still be able to see the players show out on the court, even if they're not necessarily playing at the fullest of their abilities. They're still showing off their skill sets in general. So it's it's meant to be an entertaining week for the fans and the players to have some fun outside of the regular NBA routine games. So overall, I think that though the All Star weekend has kind of gone down throughout the years a little bit, in general, it's pretty fun to see these unique activities.
Yeah, I
What
always
do you
look.
think?
Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah. But Memo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I always look forward to All Star Weekend. As like a basketball nerd, I look forward to it. I always get excited about like talk about who should be an All Star this year and stuff like that. Um, and I always preferred the All Star game, even though it hasn't been good in years. I just look forward to that a lot more than like the Saturday festivities. I feel like the Saturday festivities are usually pretty disappointing as well. The only good thing that happens on the Saturday night is the 3 point shootout. The dunk contest usually is a disappointment, and the skill challenge is kind of hit or miss. But yeah, for me personally, I do look forward to All Star Weekend. I do look forward to the All Star Game, but it is usually pretty disappointing. And this year was no different. There was a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of ugly. So we'll go over it. Starting with the very first, I guess, event of the weekend, which is the celebrity game. Did you watch this at all?
I didn't honestly.
I don't
I
blame you.
wasn't at home Friday. First off, to begin, I just wasn't at home on Friday night until like pretty late. But also, yeah, I just didn't watch it honestly. Didn't really think much about it to be honest. The only main thing I really know about the celebrity game is how Isenat was challenged by Ruby Rose to score 30, and he ends up practically doing nothing.
Oh, I
And
didn't
he
know
didn't
about
really
that.
get minutes.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
barely played. A lot of people were actually mad about that. Like on Twitter, I saw a lot of people upset, and I wondered like why. Like Kaisa Nat is just a very undersized streamer. I don't know why we want to watch him ball when we have like actual ballers and athletes
yeah.
that can actually like do something, play.
I think they just wanted him because he's become such a meme. That's all.
He's a meme, I guess. He's very popular. I think he might have been the biggest name there. Uh, uh, I'm looking at the celebrity list right now, and there's not a lot that stands out. I mean, Jennifer Hudson's there. She performed at the All Star game, like halftime show. Um, there's a TikToker that did pretty good, Tristan Jazz. He does
Yeah.
basketball content, so of course he was gonna do pretty good. But yeah, a lot of these names I don't know. Metal War Peace I obviously know. Looking
Yeah. A
looking
few
old out
a
there.
few NFL players did pretty good.
Uh huh.
Micah Parsons, Puka Nakua, CJ Stroud, um, and then a few actors also in.
Yeah, yeah. I think looking at my notes, yeah, Micah Parsons won MVP. He ended up scoring 37 points. Um, yeah, but this game in general was very confusing. There was a lot of little events and rules changes throughout the game. Like at the first quarter, I believe there would be like a Shannon star or a Stephen A star, and if you scored from that star, you get like double the points. There was the Ruffles 4 point line. There was the crunch time button that if a coach pushed that button, all points was like doubled. In the fourth quarter, the 3 point line kept moving back and forth, so that looked annoying to me. There was like an event, I think halftime, where like three players from each team had to shoot from like different stars, and the team that scored the most points, they get to start the third quarter with like every time they scored, they double the points. So there was a lot of rules, a lot of like little games throughout this celebrity game that I guess they're trying to make things more entertaining, especially with the addition of the LED court, which was like first introduced in that game. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very goofy. I thought I was doing too much, and it got confusing. And honestly, like, why do anybody care about this anymore? Like, they don't really get any like big name celebrities. If Kaisa Nat is the most famous person there, then there's an issue. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, I feel like this is just the celebrity game is just an attempt to I guess allow some celebrities that like to play basketball to show off some of their hoop skills. Um, but a lot of the times the product isn't really that great. Every now and then we'll see some of those celebrities do pretty good showing their skills. Like for example, putting up big numbers, showing flashy passes, you name it. But overall, I agree. It's more of like almost in a way, it's almost like as if you're going to like watch a bunch of people kind of just like mess around on a court, like kind of like street ball style. It's more of like an entertainment factor, but not necessarily like that entertaining, shall we say.
Right, like I remember like past celebrity games, there would at least be like real celebrities like Kevin Hart, Quavo, Justin Bieber, and they would like actually ball out. I think all of them won
Usain
MVP.
Bolt, that was pretty cool too.
Who?
Usain Bolt when
Oh
he
yeah, that
was so fast, catch the travel.
yeah. I forgot about it, but yeah, he did cool too. So I wish we get more celebrities, or at least more like influencers that are like basketball influencers like Tristan Jazz, because since basketball is something that he's very into, that's part of his whole like brand. He actually balled out and did really good, scoring 27 points. So, uh, yeah, there's definitely changes that need to be made for the celebrity game, but it's definitely not an event a lot of people look forward to or look into at all. So we'll see if anything changes, I guess. But let's move on to the Rising Stars, which has been going through changes throughout the years, and currently it is a tournament style. There are four teams. There's Tamika, Jalen, Pau, and Detlef's teams. Um, sorry, and these it's a tournament, so two teams go against each other. At first, it was Tamika versus Jalen. Then it was Pau versus Detlef, and each game goes up to 40 points, except for the final game, which goes up to 25 points. And I thought this is a one of the better events in during All Star Weekend. I think it's really fun. The tournament style with the target score makes it so that there's like a game winner every game. And yeah, like what are your initial thoughts on the Rising Stars event?
Yeah. So to be honest, I didn't really get to watch it because wasn't home that night until pretty late. But overall, throughout the years, I thought that the Rising Stars Challenge was a pretty cool under the radar event because obviously it's not the star power of the actual All Star game, but seeing the young players, rookies and sophomores, show out their talents is also pretty fun to watch, especially because all those players are young, so they have a lot of energy, and a lot of explosive highlight plays. Definitely very fun to watch. And I think that them making the tournament style these last few years definitely makes it even more entertaining in the sense that the players kind of try harder because they want to have bragging rights, shall we say, that they are a part of the better portion of the rookies and sophomores class. So overall, I definitely like the Rising Stars Challenge. I think it is a um, one of the underrated entertaining events during All Star Weekend.
Yeah, and each game was pretty exciting. Tamika versus Jalen. Tamika's team that consists. Hold up, let's see if I could find it really quickly. Uh, okay, yeah. Tamika's team consists of players like Paula Beccaro, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, Keegan Murray, Scoot Henderson, and more. Went against Jalen's team that I am currently looking for. Okay, so Jalen's team had Jalen. Sorry, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Benedict Matherin, and more. It was a pretty good game. Tamika's team started off like 9-0, but then Jalen's team caught up with Benedict Matherin really taking over and scoring a total of 18 points in that game, including the game winner. And there were some cool highlights, especially I like the play that Scoot Henderson did, where he crossed up Chet Holmgren and then drove into the basket for a tough layup. I thought that was nice. I thought it was smooth. Um, but yeah, Jalen's team ended up winning, and then it was Detlef versus Pau Gasol's team, uh, where Pau was the favorite because he had players like Victor Wembanyama on his team. So why wouldn't he be the favorite? He also had players like Jaime Jaquez, Brandon Miller, and so on. Um, and then I believe a Detlef's team was all G Leaguers with Mac McClung leading the way. And although Pau was the favorite, Detlef's team ended up winning. I felt like the G Leaguers had a lot more dog in them. Like they were a lot more scrappier, playing harder defense, um, kind of like out rebounding Wemby, even though he had like 7 rebounds, I believe. It was Wemby did struggle a bit. Like he would try to rebound with one hand every time, and because of that, the G Leaguers would be able to steal it. So they just worked harder for the win, I believe. Mac had 12 during that game. Alondes Williams had 11. And then Matas Buzilis, if that's how you pronounce his name, had the game winner to defeat Pau and upset them, basically. And then, lastly, the final game, Detlef versus Jalen. It was mostly close for a bit. Oscar Shibwe did pretty good, had some highlights. I think he dunked over Westler. No, that's not Kessler.
Walker.
Yeah, Kessler Walker. Um, but ultimately, uh, Team Jalen took over. Jalen Williams got the game winning shot, and then Benedict Matherin ended up being MVP of the whole tournament. So, oh, I thought it was exciting. There was a lot of highlights throughout each game. Did you hear about how Benedict Matherin and um, Jaden Ivey were going at it during the game?
Oh, I actually didn't hear about it. They got in it
A
with
little
each other.
bit. Benedict Matherin was talking trash to Jaden Ivey, and like for good reason because he was like balling out of his mind. Uh, he after like every point he went after Jaden Ivey, saying like you can't guard me, just like the regular season you can't guard me, and they both like got heated, but it didn't like escalate at all. Um,
That's good.
yeah, that's good. Overall, very competitive. A lot of highlights, as I said. I thought it was a pretty fun event. Um, but yeah, any thoughts on any? I guess closing thoughts on the Rising Stars game.
Um, Overall, I just say definitely format is makes it a lot more interesting for players to try as hard as they could, and definitely the G Leaguers. I I always thought in the past like the notion of like for example, like the summer league, they used to have usually like every single team has a group of players, and then there's one specifically for the G League. I always thought that it seemed somewhat embarrassing for like the actual NBA teams or that player or the players that got drafted to lose against the G Leaguers because it just seems like they should be better. But I think in this sense, it just proved that the G Leaguers tried a lot harder. So in that sense, they deserve to win, of course, because of how hard they try. Um, Overall, though, I think it's pretty cool to see all those players go all out to try to win something for their own bragging rights.
Right. I think you made a good point. I feel like a lot of people forget that G League players are still like a lot better than your average Joe. That uh like they have opportunities to be in the NBA, which a lot of us can't say. So I'm glad that they went out there and proved to everybody that they can ball, basically. But yeah, that's all what happened on Friday. On Saturday, we started off the night with the skills challenge. There are four events in the skills challenge. There's like this obstacle course thing where you have to like run around, shoot a floater, shoot a three, and then go for a dunk. Um, and I believe the Pacers ended up winning that one. Did you watch this event?
I didn't get to watch it in full. I only saw like the first two rounds. I believe that was the All Stars, and then maybe I saw a little bit of the rookies in round one. I didn't get to watch the whole round though.
Yeah, so it wasn't rookies. It was all stars, first picks.
Number one picks,
Yeah,
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 that's what it was.
and then team Pacers. Uh, the what was it? The all stars. They kind of they had that moment where Scotty Barnes fumbled the ball while dribbling, and that went crazy on Twitter. Did you see that clip?
I think I did see that clip. Yeah,
While he was trying to go like, they're not cones, but they're basically cones, and while dribbling, it
yeah.
went off on his
It
left
bounced off
side.
his foot, right?
Something
Yeah.
like that. Something like that.
Mhm.
So that wasted some time. And then did you see the clip of Anthony Edwards shooting his threes with his left hand?
Yeah, I did see that. I was confused why he did it, but I think the reason was because they already were past the time, right? So there wasn't much of a point.
Yeah,
That's why he did that.
yeah. Paulo was taking a while. He messed up at the beginning, so he basically took up a lot of time, and basically team first picks couldn't finish on time, and
Yeah.
then Team Pacers just ran through it like super fast. I believe Miles Turner had like the fastest run of the night with 21.4 seconds. And then he was the first guy. Benedict Mathurin did pretty well. And then Tyrese not Maxi, Halliburton did well and ended off with like a pretty cool flashy dunk. But yeah, they ended up winning by a landslide. I feel like at least that's what it seemed like. Um, so the Pacers won that round. The next one was the pass challenge, where they basically threw balls through hoops, uh, and yeah, basically try to get the highest score. So you didn't watch this one?
No, I didn't watch this one.
It's not that interesting to be honest. Look, they're just throwing balls through hoops. To be honest with
Mm.
you, I liked the skills challenge a lot more like back in the day, where it was just like that obstacle course thing. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you like this new version where they kind of expanded it a bit more, or do you prefer the older version?
I think I'm more used to the older version, honestly. So growing up watching those, like via, for example, like I remember back in the day, there was a really good one. It was like D Wade, and a few other point guards. I want to say maybe Darren Williams was in it. Maybe Chris Paul was in it. I do remember 2011 there was a pretty good one. It was Steph, Russ, Derrick Rose, John Wall, and Chris Paul. That one was like a lot of good point guards. I liked most of those players aside from Chris Paul. But
Yeah, All Stars
yeah,
used to
that
be
was,
part of this. Now we've got like
you know,
decent
it used to
players,
be
but
all
not
like
like superstars.
it used to be like all stars or like decent level players. Now it's a lot more like role players, bench warmers. Um, but yeah, honestly, I do like the old format better, where it's everyone going up against everyone. as opposed to the teams like Pacers number one picks and the yeah All Stars. Like I do prefer the regular format where it's just everyone against everyone. And so yeah, overall I think I do prefer the old format better if we're talking skills challenge.
Same, honestly. But going back
Yeah.
to the new.
I will say
Oh, go on, go on.
yeah. I will say this, not related to the skills challenge, but what one part of All Star Weekend that they used to have, like maybe 10 years ago, that they don't have anymore. You remember the higher shooting stars challenge, the one where it's like free throw, 3-pointer, and then half court shot. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good event, and I liked how Chris Bosh would
Ah, that
win
was,
every year.
that was really cool. I don't know why they got rid of that. Um, but yeah, I wish they would have kept that one, honestly.
Yeah, that's like a good starting one. Like it doesn't take too long. And yeah, I thought it
Mhm.
was fun. I thought it was fun. But speaking
Was
on,
definitely.
yeah, it definitely was. But speaking on like the current skills challenge, the passing one. So the passing challenge, All Star team scored 74 total points. Uh, First pick scored a total of 58 points, and then the Pacers team scored 74. There was a tie. So during the tie, for the tiebreaker, All Star team scored 90, while the Pacers scored 92. So they, at this current point, they've won two events. Um, but yeah, after this was the shooting event where certain spots on the court is worth different amount of points. And yeah, the team first picks got 19 total points. Pacers scored 11 total points, and Team All Stars scored a whopping 33 points for the win. And then lastly was the half court challenge. Um, the All Stars went up first, so they took 58.8 seconds to score a half court shot. Maxi was the one that made it. It was interesting because Barnes was shot one backwards. I don't know if you saw that one. He just randomly grabbed the ball, turned around, threw it backwards like that, and it missed like horribly.
It's funny.
Yeah. Um. But yeah. After All Stars went, the Pacers went, and Tyrese ended up making the half court shot with 20.5 seconds to spare. So the Pacers ended up winning the whole event, and yeah, I don't think it was anything too crazy, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah. Overall, it was mostly just like I guess it was a cool event overall, but it wasn't really like anything eye catching.
Right, but something that was eye catching was the 3 point contest, which was the next event, and it was a pretty competitive contest. At least in the first round, there was a four-way tie for first. The players that tied were Trey Young, Halliburton, Carl Anthony Towns, and Damian Lillard. They all scored 26 points. So Mitchell ended up being eliminated. He scored 21. Beasley scored 20. Uh, Jalen Brunson, I almost said Brown. Brunson, oh my god, scored 24. Lowry scored 25, and they all didn't make it. And since they didn't make it and there was a four-way tie, there was a tiebreaker, a kind of controversial tiebreaker. Uh, I I thought it was interesting how the tiebreaker you get less time, you get 30 seconds instead of a minute and 10 seconds. So they couldn't do the complete like five racks, but uh, Trey Young ended up scoring 15. Tyrese Halliburton scored 12. Cat scored 16, but the controversy is that his foot was on the line. The ref called it out, and nothing really happened because Cat scored 16, Lillard scored 16, and they both ended up in the final round. And then in the final round, Cat scored 24 points. Um, Trey Young was also in the final round. He scored 24. And then Damian Lillard ended up winning it with 26 points. So that's it. The Damian Lillard ended up winning back to back 3 point contests. What do you feel? What do you think about the 3 point contest this year, and maybe the cat controversy?
I think that this 3 point contest was for sure turned out to be the best event of the All Star Weekend in general, simply due to the fact that a lot of those other events mostly disappointed. Um, but yeah, I did see the clip of Cat with his foot on the line for all those corner threes. I don't know what that was, honestly, because like in the game, I'm I know for a fact that the players always make sure that their foot is on the behind the line so that it counts. I mean, hell, Cat even made a bunch of crazy threes in the All Star game, which we'll go over later. Um, but yeah, that was definitely a little bit shocking to me seeing him have those all those threes with his foot on the line, and yet there wasn't really any punishment for it. I guess the refs pointed it out. The ref pointed it out, but they counted it anyway. That was a little bit unfair for some of the other players like Trey and Tyrese not being able to move forward there. But overall, I guess not to take away from Cat the fact that he is obviously still a really 3 point shooter, really good 3 point shooter. But that was definitely something that was a little bit shocking to see all those with his foot on the line. But overall, shout out to Dame for defending his title. I guess I knew he had a chance to win it again. But low key, I felt like maybe another player was gonna steal it this time.
Did you have a prediction? I was probably going for Trey Young to win it all, and he was definitely
Maybe I was thinking
close.
maybe Trey. I wanted Tyrese to win it, but I
Oh, that's
thought
also
maybe
he's
Trey would
also up there, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, that wasn't the only 3 point shootout of the night. A lot of people said this was the highlight of the night, which was Steph versus Sabrina, uh, boys versus girl, 3 point shootout, where this was teased, I believe, last year, right? Um,
I
no,
think someone said something about like
I think I
oh
remember.
it's because Sabrina did really good in the WNBA All Star Weekend 3 point shootout. And then I believe she publicly said that it would be cool if she had a shootout against Steph because she's the best shooter in the WNBA. Steph's the best shooter in the NBA. Shooters shoot, so I guess why not have them go up against each other? And then, obviously, as we see, it came into fruition and clearly did not disappoint. It was a really fun event to watch.
It was a good event, and not only did Sabrina do well, I believe she has the record for WNBA and NBA for the most points in the 3 point contest. I think that's what sparked up this debate on who was the better shooter, and they made it happen. And Sabrina killed it. Like, she was shooting from the NBA 3 point line, not the WNBA 3 point line, and she still scored the same amount of points as Damian Lillard's like winning performance. I think is very impressive. Uh, obviously she, not obviously, but she did end up losing to Steph. She scored 26. Steph scored 29 points, and but still, it was very impressive on what she did. She was able to go head to head with Stephen Curry, known as the greatest shooter of all time. Um, the only downside to what happened during this event was Kenny Smith's commentary. I think he was very dismissive, even though it sounded like he was trying to be on Sabrina's side. I know we talked about this earlier today. He was trying to say that that Sabrina would have won if she used the women's 3 point line instead of the men's, but Sabrina clearly proved that she not only can shoot threes from the men's 3 point line, but she can excel shooting from the men's 3 point line. So I don't know why Kenny went off on that point. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, be frank, I feel like his comments could go either way. Like, one side of it, as mentioned in the beginning, in a way, it seemed like he was trying to kind of help Sabrina's side, say that if she would have shot it like at the regular WNBA line, maybe she would have made a few more, and then potentially maybe she would have beaten Steph. Valid, but on the other side, obviously Sabrina is the one that made it clear that she wanted to shoot the NBA 3 pointers. It turns out it wasn't a problem at all. She still scored 26, a really good score, as mentioned, the same score that Dame scored when he won the regular 3 point contest. So I'm gonna say this about Kenny's comments. I think that he did say a lot of stuff that could be looked at either way, honestly. Like helping Sabrina, or I guess in a way almost unnecessary commentary. But in the end, obviously Sabrina just put up a good enough score to the point that she had a good chance of beating Steph. Steph only won by 3 at the end because it got really hot. Granted, Sabrina also was really hot shooting. Um, but overall, I think that definitely the commentary had some unnecessary parts to it. Like, I think that him mentioning the facts is fine, except until the point that he said it like so many times repeatedly to the point where it's like, all right, dude, we heard you already, but you can move on now. Like, I feel like the comments didn't really initially bother me, but towards the end, he just repeated it a little bit too much, honestly.
Yeah, he definitely was annoying. Not only that, uh, like that portion, but I felt like throughout, um, like the dunk contest and other events, he was pretty annoying, which isn't like him. Like I usually do like Kenny Smith, but yeah, that Saturday night was not his night. Um, but yeah, let's move on to the dunk contest, the main event. We had Jaime Hawkins Jr. competing, Jalen Brown, Mac McClung trying to um, defend his title, and then Jacob Toppin, the brother of Obi Toppin, who won before, right?
Yeah, he won last year, I think.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
just last year?
with the Knicks. Yeah,
Wow. We were talking about this earlier, but like a lot of the things that happened last year, I felt like it happened years ago for some reason.
felt like a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about the first 2 rounds where like they all were
Oh,
participating
actually, my bad. He won it in 2022, 2 years ago, not last year.
2 years ago. Oh yeah, obviously Mac McClung won it last year. Okay, that
Yeah, yeah,
that makes a
yeah.
lot more sense. I can't
Yeah.
believe I didn't catch that. Um, but yeah, as I was saying, let's talk about the first 2 rounds where all participants were involved. What were some of your favorite dunks and maybe least favorites?
Honestly, so you're talking about like overall through the entire contest or only round one?
Uh, I guess is it so? This is how like they did it. They had all the participants do 2 dunks. So when I said first 2 rounds, I meant like all participants with their 2 dunks. I guess. Um,
Mm. Yeah. Um, I thought that honestly, I think that there were some cool ones. I really liked Jaime Jaquez Jr.'s 360 dunk with the hat on, and that one had a really little cool tribute to the past Mexican NBA players, like with the LED court graphics, the Mexican flag, all that. And then eventually, of course, getting the dunk off and very cool 360 spin. I like that one a lot. I definitely think that he did get a little bit lower score than I would have liked. Um, Judges honestly were pretty trash in my opinion.
Oh yeah, this year's
Um,
judges sucked. Honestly, like there was barely any 50s. They were very critical.
yeah, definitely. Um, Aside from that one though, I did like the Jacob Toppin 360 a lot too between the legs. That one was really good.
That one was
And
so
not
good.
just yeah. And that one also got a quite low score just because he missed it on the first attempt. Like here's my thing about that. Like I would understand if they get penalized for missing the first attempt on a medium difficulty or not very difficult dunk. But for dunks like that are like so with that involve so much creativity and are actually quite challenging to pull off, I feel like they shouldn't be punished for not getting it on the first attempt. Um, but going on, I did, of course, a lot of these are the round two dunks that I mentioned, but the double clutch 180 by Mac was really cool also. And that one also got a lower score than he should have had.
That was by far the
Like
best dunk of the night too. Like the
it
fact
was, yeah.
that um he did it over a person. Let go. Wait, no, we're talking about two different dunks. I think he had a
Yeah. I'm talking about the one where he catches it and then wait, actually hold on a
because he
second.
did a double clutch one later on, but in the very first round, his very first dunk was when he jumped over someone, grabbed the ball, let go of the ball, grabbed it again, and then did a reverse dunk.
Oh yeah. That one was really good.
The
Honestly,
dunk of the night, I
I think
think.
I think I meant to talk about that one honestly. The one where he double clutched it in midair, let go, and then put it down. And I guess the judges just didn't see that, so then they gave him a really low score. But definitely should have been higher than that.
Not only was his score low, but Jalen Brown's Wilkins tribute dunk that was kind of a basic looking dunk had a higher score than Mac McClung's crazy dunk of the year dunk. I don't know what was going on
Uh,
with the judges
Honestly, that Jalen Brown dunk wasn't even that good. Like the gesture of bringing a Dominique Wilkins wannabe clone out there was cool, I guess. But the dunk itself wasn't that special. So definitely that dunk should have been a lot lower than what he got. And there's no way that it should have been higher than Mac McClung's the reverse double clutch one. Like, come on now.
can we
I think there
focus
was definitely
sorry
I think there was definitely some favoritism there.
oh yeah can we focus on Jalen Brown for a second and how he had the worst dunks on every single round, and he went so
Oh, for
far
sure.
in this contest. Like there was the Dominique Wilkins dunk, which would have been cool back in Dominique Wilkins era, but now it's just like a generic dunk. No respect to Wilkins, but yeah, it's not a game changing dunk now. And then the his second dunk of the night was when Kai said that a man that is already 5'5", I'm taller than him and I'm only 5'6", yet he's even shorter than I am. He is sitting on a chair, so not only is this man short, but he is sitting, so he's even shorter. Uh, Jason Tatum had the ball ready for Jaylen Brown, and then Jaylen Brown dunked over Kai Cenat sitting in a chair, and he dunked it, and it was supposed to be a D Brown tribute where he was supposed to not be looking the whole time, but he was looking and ended up covering his eyes at the end, so it ended up looking like he dunked it and afterwards he dabbed as if it was like 2016.
Yeah, honestly, that dunk was pretty corny to me, not gonna lie.
Probably the worst dunk
Um,
of the night.
yeah, as you mentioned, like, Ice and Nat already really short, 5'5" or whatever it is. And then he's sitting down to make it even lower. Like, what makes that dunk impressive? Nothing, honestly. Um, and then, yeah, the last part, intending to do a D Brown tribute to do the eyes closed, but literally was looking the entire time until the very end. He plays it off to dab. Like, come on now. Yeah, as mentioned, dabbing is quite outdated now. You don't really see people do it now, except for maybe little kids, which even them I haven't really seen in a while. But like, yeah, I feel like that dunk was just a complete failure. There's no way it should have gotten as high of a score that he got. And I agree. Jaylen Brown definitely had the weakest lineup of dunks throughout the contest. Now I will give him the Terrence Clark tribute dunk. That one was a cool gesture. The gesture was cool. That dunk wasn't bad, I guess. I mean, I think that was probably his best dunk out of his unimpressive showing. But as mentioned, definitely Jaylen Brown had a lot of unimpressive dunks.
Yeah, I forgot who said it. It was either Reggie or Kenny Smith, but he said that Jaylen Brown looked like he was just going for a sneeze after his dunk. But
I think it might have been Reggie.
Reggie, you made a good point. Like, I do like the tribute he made for Terrence Clark. If you don't know, Terrence Clark was an NBA prospect for the uh, 21 NBA draft. Unfortunately, he was killed in a car crash, so he couldn't live his dream. So it was nice that Jaylen Brown did a tribute for him. It was a 360 dunk. Nothing too crazy. I know you gave Hawkes his respect for his 360 dunk. I feel like since it happens so like we see it all the time that I've been desensitized, I guess, for lack of better words, of like 360 dunks. So to me, it's like cool. Like in game, it's awesome. But for a dunk contest, I'm like expecting a little more. But that's just my opinion, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like the same way with like jumping over people too. Like although it's extremely impressive, obviously, I feel like every NBA player can jump over people at this point. Like there was two people, Jaime Jaquez and Mac McClung, who dunked over Shaq today. Like we're losing creativity here by just jumping over people. I do like
Yeah.
how Mac jumped over two people today. That was interesting. Obviously, like it wasn't two like straight up like that. Like one guy was sitting on the other guy, so it wasn't like the height of two people. It was like the height of two and a half people. But still, that's pretty impressive. I
Yeah.
think at least it looks
Height of
impressive.
two Yeah, the height of two people would probably be impossible. Yeah. I was gonna say far fetched because I feel like this would be a little bit too challenging. But if a player were to, for example, bring out another guy to try to defend them and put up a poster, that would be a really dope dunk.
That's a
But
great
then
idea.
again, maybe the other player wouldn't want to do it because then they'll be the talk of the night. Like for example, like for example, Mac McClung posters Wemby. Wemby will be the talk of the night of embarrassment. He'll be like, "Damn, I shouldn't have done this." So like, so I can understand maybe why a player wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, there would be
But
like a lot of
if a
issues
player,
revolved around it for sure.
yeah, but if a player did post something like that off easily, I think would be top-notch entertainment. Um, American dream, shall we say?
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
that would happen.
I
Like maybe people will say it's scripted or like there's
yeah,
like injuries that could be involved, stuff like that.
that's
So
true
it
too.
probably won't happen, but it's a really cool idea. I like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like thinking in my mind if that would be possible. Maybe, but probably like too risky, like injuries and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I do agree that I feel like a lot of I feel like players are running out of ideas at this point. It's been a lot of like similar dunks revolving over and over that we've seen before, like jumping over players. Like we've seen Shaq use as a prompt several times. We mentioned that earlier. Um, Also, like a lot of the dunks have been done in the past. Like for example, there's been a handful of 180 attempts, I believe, even 360s, maybe. Um, I think that I feel like if there were ways to integrate more creativity, that would be cool. Like for example, when Blake Griffin dunked over the car, or when Nate Robinson dunked over Dwight, or when Dwight dunked on the 12-foot rim. Those are pretty cool creative dunks. Um, Having a little bit more creativity would definitely help the sake of, I guess, making the dunk contest great again. Um, but overall, lackluster. But I think that at the end, the right man won, and that is Mac McClung with his reverse dunk over Shaq, which got the full 50. Granted, like we did mention about Shaq used as a prompt is a little bit repetitive. But him doing it reverse definitely made it a lot cooler, I will say, as opposed to the other ones on Shaq.
And
Memo, what do you think?
yeah, I definitely agree that Mac McClung should have won. Like throughout the entire contest, like it was a no brainer that
Yeah,
he was the best. Shout out to Jacob Toppin because he did really good. I thought he did really good. Um, I love to see the Latino representation. So Jaime Jaquez, although I didn't like him as much as Jacob or McClung, he did pretty good and definitely a lot better than Jalen Brown. I think that's how I would
for
rate
sure.
them. I would rate McClung first, Toppin second, Jaime third, and then Brown fourth. Would you rank it the same
I,
or differently?
I agree, actually. I would rank it the exact same order. Um, Quite honestly, I felt like all of them had like some pretty cool dunks overall, except Jalen Brown's dunks didn't really phase me. I think that, as mentioned earlier, the best dunk Jalen Brown did was the Terrence Clark tribute, but the other ones just weren't really that good to me. And then, like, to be honest, his last dunk was also kind of cringe to me. Not gonna lie, like, I
Trying
get
to
that
prove
there's
that
the
he could
ongoing
use his
error.
left hand.
Yeah, it's like, why do you have to put a glove on? Like, come on, man.
So he
Like,
could look like
it's
Michael
so corny.
Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was funny, I guess, but it didn't really impress me that much because it was just a generic left-handed dunk. It's not like he did anything
Well,
crazy.
he did do it over Donovan Mitchell, but still, it was a
Yeah.
super crazy. Like literally,
Yeah.
Mac McClung jumped over Shaq right afterwards.
I
Like,
was gonna say he did it over a point guard. Yeah. And there was some funny commentary. I think it was Benny or someone who said like, I wonder what is his relationship with Donovan Mitchell. I feel like he shouldn't have chose Donovan knowing he might be competing against him later in the playoffs. Yeah, that was an interesting choice he chose. But yeah, overall. I do agree that Jaylen Brown had the least impressive set of dunks.
Yeah, honestly, like if Jalen Brown wasn't on the in the contest, this would be like a decent dunk contest. I think the
Yeah,
only thing that makes people say it's disappointing is that uh, it lacks creativity. Like the dunks were good, but I think the more creative the dunk, the more memorable it is, and then the more we look back to it and feel like it's a really good dunk contest. Like as you mentioned before, uh, Blake Griffin jumped over a hood of a car. Nate Robinson dunked over Dwight. Um, the 12-foot rim one by Dwight was cool. The cupcake one by Gerald Green. The double hoops by JaVale McGee. Like these are the ones that people remember because they're the more creative ones. So,
it's
um,
Carter putting his arm on the rim,
um classic. Like
the most iconic.
yeah. So the more creative the dunks are, the more we look back to it and the more we enjoy the dunk contest. I believe, but honestly, this year's not that bad. Just Jalen Brown didn't didn't really help. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's now talk about Sunday night, which was about the All Star game. Um, East versus West, back to that, back to 12 minute quarters instead of like a target score. And it did not help. The changing back to regular basketball did not help at all because this was a snooze fest. No, we did watch it at Buffalo Wild Wings. We had burgers, we had good food, enjoyed our time there, but I feel like half the time we were like watching the game, and then the other half we were just talking about other things because like it was getting pretty boring.
Wasn't that exciting,
Yeah,
honestly.
and like I constantly like would defend the All Star game. Like every time you say the Saturday night is better than Sunday night, I'm like, no, Sunday night is better. The All Star game is better. But like this year, it clearly wasn't. I felt like
Yeah.
I was at least convincing myself that I felt like they were trying a bit in the first quarter. They were playing some defense in the first quarter, but eventually it became a blowout by halftime. I think it was like a 20-point lead by halftime. I don't know. At one point, it was a 30-point lead, East being in the lead. And then the East ended up winning, scoring over 200 points, which is the first time that has ever happened, which is crazy. And then Damian Lillard ended up being the MVP of the night. And there was a lot of crazy scoring performances. Most notably, Cat, who scored 50 points tonight. Uh, I felt like he was stat padding. I was joking to you about that. During the fourth quarter, he was just chucking up threes. But if it goes in, it goes in. Like, I can't hate. So, um, yeah, what are your thoughts on this year's All Star game? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think?
Um. Overall, I felt like not much different than any other All Star game in recent years. It's mostly players try a little bit in the beginning, then later on they don't really try that hard. Kind of just mess around, shoot a bunch of threes, go for some dunks, don't play a lot of defense. Um, Certain players put up big numbers. Overall, though, yeah, we kind of, as you mentioned earlier, didn't really pay attention the entire time because of the lack of entertainment. Um, I point blank, I will say, I have to stay put on my original comment that All Star Week, the festivities are definitely better than the All Star game, even with the lackluster um events this year or whatever that happened. I still believe that festivities is better than the actual game. Um, and even like the Rising Stars challenge, honestly, because the thing is like a lot of those players are so young, they're trying to prove their worth in the league still. They try harder. Um, in the All Star game, as we mentioned, they don't really try that hard. So that's where the entertainment level goes lower. But I will say that it is cool that we were able to see the first over 200-point score. Um, I know that many would say bad defense, and that's true. But just seeing records break every now and then, even if it is at the expense of bad defense or whatnot, I think it's still pretty cool to see. So overall, nothing special, but cool to watch some of the best players in the league show out on the court.
And a lot of them did. Jalen Brown scored 36. Tyrese Halliburton scored 32. He made like five threes early in the first quarter, like all in a row. It was crazy. That got me hyped pretty early. Made me think he would um, win the MVP for the night. And he had a crazy field goal percentage, right? 71.4% from three. He made 10 out of 14. Damian Lillard did a little, not percentage wise better, but he scored one more three than him. He scored 11 threes. He had 39 points um, in this game, and that's why he got the MVP for the East. He was the highest scoring leader. Giannis had 23. Tatum had 20. That was in the East. In the West, obviously I mentioned Towns had 50 points. Um, Shea had 31 points. And yeah, like we mentioned this at B Dubs, but like we were surprised to find out when certain players scored a certain amount of points because like it felt like just everybody was shooting uh just like everybody was making shots, so it was hard to tell that like Jalen Brown had like over 30 and Cat had 50 points. Like we did not know he had that many points until he did this after he scored his 50th point. Um but yeah, definitely like the lack of defense makes the game less interesting. So that's why we struggled with like paying attention. But there were cool moments again with the Tyrese Halliburton like threes early on in the first quarter. Damian Lillard shooting threes from half court. I saw this cool play where Jokic and Luka were running down the court and they kept passing it to each other like in cartoons. Like they didn't want the ball, so they kept passing it, and passing it, and passing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until Luka passed it to Jokic when he was under the rim, and Jokic did this like nice like little tap pass to Shea so he could like score the basket. And I felt like Jokic was kind of funny too, like not funny in a good way, I guess, but like he would like attempt to dunk and not make it. I laughed out loud when that happened. I don't know why, but like he had some botched dunks. So did Luca. He tried to do a off the backboard dunk that didn't work out. LeBron had some like uh botched dunks as well, which was surprising.
Yeah.
Was there any like highlight that you could think of that you at least enjoyed from the game?
Um, the main highlight I think in mind is Dame making not one but two half court shots. That was pretty impressive. And then, of course, honestly, I kind of forgot a lot of the plays already, but it was mostly those plays that stood out. And then Tyrese making like five threes in the first quarter. That was also really cool. And at the end of the game, Cat just throwing up threes and making them crazy. That was also cool to watch. Overall, I guess the main things that caught my eye were the players draining a lot of threes. I can't really remember too many explosive plays like dunks or whatnot because it just didn't seem like there were too many this year. Overall, those are the main plays that stood out to me.
Yeah. So again, pretty disappointing game, but I'm sure next year nothing will change, and I'll still be excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah, a man that remain optimistic no
Yeah,
matter what.
it's a tough world out there. We gotta try. We gotta try to be optimistic. Um, but yeah, we talked about this while watching the game. The All Star jersey was pretty. I liked it. You like kind of grew into it. I feel like.
Yeah. In the beginning, I didn't think much about it. I was just like, all right, it's whatever. The back of the jersey was kind of simple-ish to me. The fact that it was just white text on the color and the last name is below the number as opposed to the traditional last name over the number. I thought that it kind of looked like simple in a way. But overall, at the end, I think the jerseys definitely grew on me a little bit. I think that the shorts were definitely cooler than the jerseys, though, with the stars on the side. And I was saying earlier that I thought that it looked kind of like a compass, which is like a little different, but I like the look low key. And yeah, overall, jerseys not bad.
Yeah, I'll
I do think
do.
that I will say this: a lot of recent years, the All Star Game jerseys were not very good. I think that this is probably the best All Star jerseys in a long time. But
Yeah,
yeah, go on.
yeah. I was gonna say I really did like these jerseys. I like the color scheme a lot for both. And I do agree they're like some of the better ones in recent memory. And we were planning on doing like All Star jersey tier list. I just couldn't find one like a good one last minute. But if you guys are interested, let us know and maybe we'll do it. But yeah, that's all our thoughts on the weekend. And I was thinking like since we have a little bit of time, we play some mini games revolving around the All Star game. Uh, we came up with uh, a blind ranking mini game and then also a trivia game that I thought of. Which one should we do first?
How about we do the blind rankings first
Okay,
for the All Star?
so you want to start off with blind rankings?
Yeah, sounds good. So how this one works is I'm going to come up with five random players from the East and West All Stars this year, and Memo is going to decide where he wants to put these players one through five as the order goes by. So without further ado, let's begin. Blind ranking All Star Edition. So first player, Giannis. Where would you put
Giannis.
him on your list?
Um, it's hard to beat Giannis.
It is.
So honestly, I'm gonna put him at one.
Okay, not bad.
A bold choice.
Um, mm-hmm. Okay, second one, Trey Young.
Trey Young. He's pretty good. Is there a lot of players worse than him? I don't know. I'll
That's an
do
opinionated state.
yeah, I'll do a little safe choice and do four for him.
All right, not bad. Okay, next player, KD.
Haiti. Solid three.
Okay, not bad. So KD is three. Um, all right. Next player, Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard. Well, he for sure played like he was the number one guy today, so I'm not mad
Yeah.
at him being at two.
All right. So Dame will be two, and our last player is Steph Curry.
Steph at five. Oh my god.
Oh man.
I should have put Trey at five. Uh
Yeah. But it's tricky though,
it
these
is
type of
tough.
games.
It is some. I
So
thought I was
like
doing so good too.
you were doing pretty good, I will say. It's just that like I kind of blindsided you with a really good player at the end. So just to review the blind rankings there with um so just to review the blind rankings that Memo came up with. At number one, we have Giannis. Number two, we got Dame. Number three, we got KD. Number four, we got Trey Young. And number five, we got Steph Curry. Um, a tough guessing game. So can't really blame you for the ordering. But yeah, definitely blindsided at the very end. Um, Overall, not a bad list, knowing the conditions, shall we say.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to rank it like how I would normally rank it, I would put Trey at 5, Lillard at 4, KD 3, Steph 2, and then Giannis 1. Would you agree, or would you
All right.
do it differently?
Um, Let me think. Um, do you put Trey last, and then you put Dame, then KD, then Steph, then Giannis? I think that sounds about right, but I would argue about KD over Steph, low key, as a possibility.
Fair enough, I
If we're
guess.
talking this season, if we're talking this season, if we're talking about if we're talking all time prime, it's a little bit debatable. Like I feel like KD's like very tip of his prime probably is like the better overall player. Steph is just the more I wouldn't say I guess he's like the one that could like get hot the most easy and like make nonstop threes. But KD is the more complete player in the sense like having the length, he could slash, and he can also play decent defense. But overall, I think those two are interchangeable. But honestly, like if we're talking all time, it would be a complete different list. If we're talking about like right now, the list you said is pretty good.
All right,
Mhm.
that was fun. That was fun. Let me do my trivia question. I have a question revolving around what happened today. So, as we uh, all know, Carl Anthony Towns scored a total of 50 points in this All Star game, which makes him the second person to score exactly 50. But there are other players that scored more, obviously, players that score less. So, my question to you is, can you name the 10 players with the most points in the NBA All Star games? We know Cat is in it. Can you name the 9 others?
Mm. This is tough. I'm gonna say Kobe, one of them maybe. Um,
Surprisingly, no.
okay. Kareem,
No for Kareem, but there is an old center that's in the list.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Correct. His high was 42 points.
Okay. Shaq, maybe.
No Shaq, and then the 42 by Wilt would be fifth all time.
Okay. Michael Jordan.
Yes, for Michael Jordan, his high was 40, and he would be like 10th on the list.
Oh wow, that's low. Um, all right. I'm trying to think who else had crazy scoring games. Didn't Russ have? I feel like Russ is on that list, right?
Russ scored 41 twice, so that counts as 2 spots. So
Okay.
he
Yeah,
did he
I
did
do
it
remember he had you.
he did it in 2017 and 2015.
Okay. So far I crossed off 5 players because Russ is 2 on the list.
Correct.
All right. So 5 more. Was AD one of them? I know
Yes.
he had like one MVP game. I don't remember how many points he scored though.
Yeah, during his MVP game, he scored 52 points. And he is
Oh,
second.
okay.
He is second.
Oh, okay. Nice. So four more. Kevin Durant.
No Durant.
Okay. I kind of figured maybe he wasn't on the list. Um,
One of Durant's former teammates is on the list.
James Harden.
Not James Harden.
Not James Harden. Steph Curry.
Yes, Stephen Curry scored 50 points. He is in
Uh,
third, tied with Cat.
which year? Which year was this? 2018 or
2022.
27?
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember it being so recent. Not gonna lie. Maybe because I don't watch the All Star game a lot nowadays.
There's one very recent.
Okay, let me think. So there's like three players left, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was it Damian Lillard in a different year, maybe?
No Damian Lillard.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. One of the players on this list is famous for not blocking a Damian Lillard game winner.
Oh. um, Paul George.
Paul George, he scored 41.
When was this? Like last year?
No, 2016. It was a while ago. I think he won MVP for that game. And
Oh, okay.
I believe he's seventh.
Okay, I was confused when you said not long ago.
Did I say
What did
that?
you mean when you said you said something about like not long ago, I think.
I don't think I did,
You
but
said
maybe I did. I don't remember.
I heard you say something like this one was very recent or something.
Oh,
Um,
that was for a different
a,
player.
diff-
A
a
different
different
player
player?
did
Oh,
it
okay.
very recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, the Paul George one was back in Indiana. Okay, that makes sense. Um, all right. I think like one player left, or was it two players left?
Two more players.
Two more? Okay, I'm trying to think who else had some crazy performances recently. Um, was it uh Kawhi Leonard? I know he won one MVP, but I don't know if he's on the list. Was he?
Not Kawhi Leonard, but he is a small forward currently playing.
Oh, okay. Giannis.
Not Giannis.
Okay, because I do know he won an MVP, but yeah, didn't quite like reach the top 10. Let's see. And he was recent.
Super recent.
Jason Tatum.
Correct. He has the record for most points scored in an All Star game, which is 55 points. He did that last year.
Interesting. I totally, honestly, because I didn't watch, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's a shocking one. Um, all right. So one last player, right?
Yes, and I feel like this one is the most shocking in a way. I'll give you a
Okay.
hint. He is a shooting guard that is currently playing.
Currently playing? Okay. Let me think. And you said this one is like a little bit of a more shocking one, huh?
A little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, he's an all star. He could score this amount of points, but you wouldn't. It wouldn't be like the first person you'd think of
You
to
wouldn't.
be in the top 10.
Okay. Based on hearing that comment, I'm guessing maybe this guy potentially didn't make a lot of All Stars. Maybe, just maybe. Let me think. All right, this one seems to be tricky, so I gotta think outside the box a little bit.
He also did this last year in 2023.
Last year? Oh wow. De'Aaron Fox? I doubt it.
No, he's a point guard.
Oh, you're saying this guy? are you saying Fox is a point guard, or you're saying the player that
Fox is
did
a
that
point
was a
guard.
point guard? Oh, okay. So you said that guy is a shooting guard
Shooting guard.
that we said earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jalen Brown.
Nope.
I'm just gonna say let's see, Devin Booker. I don't think so.
Not Devin Booker.
John Morant.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to think like All Stars last year. Uh,
He is known
hmm.
as a shooting guard. Plays in the East.
Oh, plays in the East. Okay, let me think. Shooting guard in the Eastern Conference. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of blanking. I'm gonna say not Jimmy Butler. Um,
Nope.
because he's not even a shooting guard. um, who even? I'm trying to think like who even made it last year that was a shooting guard, honestly. Um, it's not Donovan Mitchell, I assume, right?
It's Donovan Mitchell.
It was Donovan Mitchell.
He scored 40
Oh
points
wow.
last year.
Ooh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. Now I can see where you're coming from because like Donovan Mitchell is a guy that could put up a lot of big numbers. Of course, he scored 70, but you just don't expect him to be the one that would do this in like an all-star game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Overall, not a bad list, huh? A lot of players. I guess you wanna go over the list one time for our viewers.
Yes, starting at the bottom, we have Michael Jordan with 40 points. He did that in 1988. And then Donovan Mitchell also scored 40 points, but in 2023. Then Russell Westbrook scored 41 in 2015 and 2017. Paul George also scored 41 in 2016. Then after them, it is Will Chamberlain, who scored 42 points in 1962. Um, then it's Stephen Curry with 50 points in 2022. And Cat also scored 50 points just like a few hours ago in 2024. Anthony Davis had 52 points in 2017. And then Jason Tatum last year in 2023 has the record with the most points in an NBA All Star game with 55 points. So number 10,
Not bad.
Jordan. Number 10, Michael Jordan. Number 9, Donovan Mitchell. Number 8, Russell Westbrook. Uh, Number 7, Paul George. Number 6, Russell Westbrook. Number 5, Will Chamberlain. Number 4, Cat. Number 3, Steph. Number 2, Anthony Davis. And number 1, Jason Tatum. And that's how it's listed on, what is this, Sportskeeda. So shout out to them for the
Okay.
stats.
Cool. So just curious, who's number 11 that just got knocked off of the list? Does it say?
Giannis Antetokounmpo with 38, and he is tied with Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and Rick Barry. And just under them was Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett with 37
Hmm,
points each.
I see. Okay, not bad. So pretty much, at joining the list today officially made all of the top 10 40 points or higher. Before that, there was 38, which is still good, but now it's all 40 and up. Cool record.
Yeah.
All right.
And cool episode, I think. I think we did a good job going over the All Star game. Very detailed, I feel like. We were pretty detailed, but I think we did a pretty good job covering the All Star weekend. I hope you all agree. If you do, please leave a like on the YouTube video, rate us 5-star on uh, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and check out our social medias. I've been actually putting in the work. I've been uploading clips on YouTube. I made a TikTok that did pretty well last week that involved one of our mini games from our mini game episodes. I'll try to make um, the last two games that we just did into TikToks for this week. I feel like that would be cool. But yeah, again, subscribe, follow us on every platform. And anything you want to say before we head out?
As always, fun times talking hoops. This weekend, talking about the All Star festivities a little bit and the All Star game a little bit different. Cool to have a little change of scenery every now and then. As we mentioned, the events had the ups and the downs, but overall, just just glad to have some more fun topics to talk about and also more basketball to watch. Um, Definitely stay on the lookout. We got plenty more content to come. And if you enjoy our content, definitely make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch us on all our other platforms on Spotify, Apple, and you name it. And stay tuned. We got more good content to come.
Yeah, especially since we're at the final leg of the season. It's the race to the playoffs. Who's gonna make it into the play-in? We'll find out. And I hope you guys stick with us for this journey. So thank you guys for checking us out. Later. Goodbye. Bye bye.